Hello, welcome to all of you joining us for this panel, which is the last one that we're recording on the day that we're doing it, which is the first weekend of NZ Webfest this year. This is the panel for the finalists for our Best New Zealand Short Film Award. Well, the fiction one, the documentary one, is an open category that has international and New Zealanders in it. But this one is all about the New Zealanders, which is nice for me because I haven't had to do any conversions of time zones and things to worry about whether people are going to turn up early or late or anything like that. And it's lovely to see you all. I've got a few questions prepared, but if there's anything that strikes you as we go along, feel free to dive on in there and shout it out. But first up, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your film. And Daniel, you showed up first, so you kick us off.
Oh, kia ora, everybody. Ko Tararua Te Maunga, ko Otaki Te Awa, ko Ngāti Rākawa toko iwi, ko Rākawa toko marae, ko Takatimu Te Waka, ko Te Mata Maui Aho, Daniel Betty toko Wengoa. So kia ora, everyone. I'm Daniel, and I'm based here in Hawke's Bay. And our little film is called Opia, which is a twist of a word of love at first sight. So our little film has no dialogue. It is very much sound design and uses hip hop and graffiti culture as its vehicle. And so part of our story is about a bit of a cat and mouse between Mantra and the stranger. And Mantra starts to paint on a wall and comes back the next day and it's been added to. And so it's a very tense kind of little piece, mystery driven. And towards the end, when they finally meet and they get to paint together and they paint each other. So the piece, an outcome of the piece was we created a big 6 by 2.4 meter mural, which we gifted back to the city of Hastings. And it's it's a really beautiful piece which explores that concept of love at first sight with subtle performances and the beauty of art.
Okay, thank you
Well,
very much. Julie.
Kia ora koutou. Yeah, I'm Julie. I was born in China but grew up in Tamaki Makaurau in East Auckland, and that's where I live now. Um, yeah, the film that I'm with is Monster State. So this was a short film that we made for 48 hours this year about a mother and son and their relationship as they face an imminent threat. Yeah, and our main actors were Renee Tamati and Elijah Tamati, who I think did really well in the short film. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. James.
Kia ora, I'm James. I'm a filmmaker. I was the writer and director of the short film The Balloon. We shot it, I think it was last year in August, in a weekend. And it's a really cool short about a girl who wakes up on her birthday. It seems like no one's celebrating it. Her mother's, she says she's like fallen asleep with the decorations, and the young girl thinks like what's going on. And yeah, it was a really great kind of cast and crew we had. Got it done in a weekend. And it's done well at festivals. And New Zealand Web Fest will be, I think it's online premiere, which is amazing. And the film should be out, I think, maybe in January next year, pending other film festivals. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's good to have you. Angela.
Kia ora tātou, he uri tēnei no Ngāti Porou te whānau punui Ngāti Waihuki, ko Angela Kātoku Ingoa, he ko te kai tohu o te kaupapa nei ko Ahi and the Stars. Ai, kia ora tātou. My name's Ange. I'm from Gisborne. I also lived in Napier for a bit. I went to high school there, Daniel, so that's very much home as well. Yeah, and my short film is called Ahi and the Stars, and it's about a little coastie boy from Uwawa who his mum goes missing when they were in Auckland together, and it's his journey to figure out what happened to his mum. And there's a twist at the end, and I love hearing if people get the twist. So I don't know. Let me know if you if you do. But just acknowledging you, Keith, and the NZ Web Fest. I'm super excited to be a part of this kaupapa. Kia ora.
Thank you. All right, Hayden, wrap us up on this question and tell us about you and your film.
Cool. Kia ora, my name's Hayden. I'm a filmmaker from Wellington. The Weta is a short film project that we started production on in would have been late January 2023. It's a New Zealand-based kind of creature feature, but it's a short film heavily inspired by classic 50s monster movies from back in the day. For example, like Them, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and kind of mixed in with a couple more kind of modern tones. And so it's a story about a group of young Kiwi filmmaking teens who venture out into the New Zealand wilderness and have a very dangerous encounter with, of course, spoiler, a giant weta.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'm kind of mainly in terms of this whole conversation, sort of interested in challenges and opportunities. So there's always challenges with money. So let's kind of wipe that one off the slate, because we'd almost all say that we could have done a better job if we'd had a bit more money behind us and able to deploy more of those sorts of resources that money will allow. But in terms of kind of if you were to go back to the beginning and start again, what was a challenge that you'd like to address differently if you had that opportunity, or what did you learn from making this piece that will mean that you'll attack something else differently going forwards? James, do you want to kick us off?
We were operating on kids' hours, but I was aware that we were going to be, which is 8 hours for the actors in our film were 2 8-year-olds, and then Jazz, she's in her 30s. But for the 8-year-olds, it meant we had 8 hours door to door for them. So it meant everything we did, from set design to camera to lighting to even the writing, had to all fit within filming it within those 16 hours that weekend. Yeah, so I talked to the DOP, Harry, who's amazing. We worked out that we could do a lot of like simple setups, like longer takes. And from that conversation, I did some rehearsals with the young actors to make sure they really knew their blocking, knew their lines and everything. And yeah, it just made the process on the day smoother. I think the weekends before and after had been raining, so I was a bit concerned, but the one day we were filming outside, it was really great weather. So I think we were just quite lucky with that, because that could have dramatically altered our schedule. And on smaller budgets, sometimes you don't have contingency days or weather days, or you can't hold other days for other cast and crew. So sometimes it does come down to luck on when you shoot and how you shoot it. But we were prepared for that. Yeah, so I think going forward, that's good from at least a writing standpoint to work out how you can achieve the film realistically and work with your AD and producer and go from there. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, a bit of luck always helps. It's good not to rely too much on it and your planning, but it always helps on the day. Hayden, you're muted, Hayden.
Cool. There we go. Brilliant. Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for when we were shooting The Weta was definitely doing the night shoots. About 85 to 90% of the film is set at night, and we filmed, of course, during the end of January, which meant that we started shooting roughly about 9:30 in the evening, and that would, of course, carry on to the very early hours of the morning. So if I could, I would have definitely waited till the winter months when sun sets a little bit earlier in the evening, just to make things a little bit more bearable. because I think in total we had about, including pickups, I think we did roughly about five night shoots in total. And when you've got a crew, of course, you need to make sure that they're happy and they're energized to be going through the night shooting. So I'd definitely say that was probably the trickiest part is doing night shoots.
Okay, all right. Well, that's an interesting one on the time of year stuff as well, because we just prior to this conversation we did one with the finalists for the student filmmakers, and one of them was saying the exact opposite to you, that she had to shoot in winter, and it was a summer set story. So she was doing exteriors in winter that she was trying to make like summer, and which is a different set of challenges, really. But Daniel.
I always find, there's always challenges on every project that you pick up. For me, being regionally based is a bit of a challenge, because our community still don't understand the concept of filmmaking within the kind of a regional environment. So here in Hawke's Bay has been a bit of a learning journey for all of us, I think, to inform our local government, our local businesses, and others to understand what it means to make movies. So one of the biggest challenges we had is that we had to find an empty warehouse. And so when you put it out there through different channels to find that particular location, we were really surprised actually how our local government jumped on board to support us. And so we actually were given an old Briscoe's building from the Hastings District Council, and we were able to graffiti the whole space with the foresight of informing them about the social values of doing this particular film. And we were pretty blessed, really, because this particular space has now gone on to house all of our Ngāti Kahungunu Taonga for the future. So for us as filmmakers, it was really important to us to utilize that space in a way that was about blessing it for its next journey. But that was a real challenge, making people understand that we need to have protocols and policies in place which are actually going to support filmmakers and be more film friendly for how we move forward for everybody's sake. Yeah. Kia ora.
All right. Well, I mean, good luck with that, because it's a long conversation to sort of take people to that point sometimes. But I did see last week that the NZFC is moving into that space with a bit more support for shooting in the regions. So hopefully hopefully you'll have some allies when you're having those discussions going forward. Angela.
It's funny because we had a cyclone, so we had terrible weather. We were shooting in the regions and we had night shoots. So we had all of those challenges. And I think the thing that stood out for me is, when you can't, we've all talked about it, when you don't have time and you don't have money, what can't be solved fiscally has to be solved creatively. And so what really, really stood out to me was how all of our team came together and offered lots of creative solves, and that's how we made it through. One of the challenges that was different is we shot half in Tāmaki, half in Uawa. If you don't know where Uawa is, it's Tolaga Bay. It's like 40 minutes out of Gizzy. And this was right after all the cyclones happened. So all of the vehicles were hired out. There was no accommodation. But we made a commitment to go to that region, and it felt really important for our story to do that. So we basically had to find more money, and we did that. We took it from post, we pushed it into going to the region, and it was really great to be able to put money into a place that really needed it. But it did come, like we had to creatively, like, we were moving locations, we were like cutting, we were doing whatever we had to do to kind of make it work. And the extra challenge with that was not having someone on the ground there kind of like a month in advance. but we were lucky that we had Desiree Armstrong, who was our EP. So she was there in the kind of like week and a bit before we traveled. But yeah, when you have people on the ground, it makes such a difference. And I just wish that that had been possible. But, you know, we move. When whatever happens, you got to make it work. So, yeah.
All right, Julie. I mean, obviously, you had the challenge of time because you made a 48 hours film. But other than that,
Yeah, it was the first time doing 48 hours for lots of our team, so that was its own challenge and learning. I think the first 24 hours was really hard, I thought, or really stressful. Just trying to put the story together. I think the first night, trying to just write together. There were like about 4 of us storylining, trying to come up with a concept and idea. And I think I was probably just the block because I kept thinking that nothing felt entirely right or it wasn't good enough. So we ended up going to like 1 or 2 a.m. and we still hadn't started the script. So I think it was just getting all a bit stressful. And then I sort of stayed up all night and then just started typing something at 5 a.m. in a panic. And I don't know, I think looking back, I would just try and relieve some of that stress. Like filmmaking doesn't have to be that stressful, but sometimes it feels like it does. It feels like it's such a life and death situation. But yeah, I think just learning in life to relieve the pressure a bit is good.
all right. So let's flip the coin and look at the other side of that. So what was really good? What was exceeded your expectations, and what was amazing, and whether it was stuff you hoped for or whether it was completely unexpected. Hayden.
Ooh. I mean, I'm just awfully proud of the team, the crew behind it. Because we did do some very long hours, and I do really appreciate that. So big shout out to all the crew behind it. Things that worked really well. I think just coming back, it all comes back to pre-production, and kind of especially doing this kind of a project where you're doing so many night shoots, you need to have things planned out, and you kind of need to make sure that you have, all the lists checked off, and everything's on schedule. Yeah, I think I'm really proud with what we've done with the project and kind of where it's heading. And yeah, we faced a lot of challenges, but I think it's the people that make working on films such a enjoyable experience. And that's all I kind of I get out of it. I love working with people, and it can be really stressful at times, and it feels like it takes away quite a lot from you, but it also gives you a lot of life and enjoyment. And so that's something that no matter what project I'm working on or what film, it's something that I always look forward to taking away.
Okay, Angela.
Oh, I have a long list, but I'll be selective. I agree with Hayden. The people, 100%. They can make the challenges feel like good memories. In particular, I was really excited about Moses Pivac Solomon, who played our lead, Ahi. This is a young boy who'd never been on a film set before, and he is, by the end of it, and he was trained by Hori Ahipene, who was our dramaturg. By the end, he was a pro. Like, he was speaking to me like he was Brad Pitt and I was, some important director. And I think that it really shows in the last scene in Ahi and the Stars. We shot that pretty much at the very end of shoot, and we shot the first scene that he's in kind of at the start of shoot. So as the progression of our film really reflects the progression of him as a talent. Yeah, all of the HODs, shooting in the regions. Oh man, I wish we could have done the whole film in Gizzy and Uawa. It was harder in some ways, but easier in other ways. Like, we needed a horse, and we didn't have a horse when we got there. I can tell you, the day after, we had a horse, and we had people, So yeah, shooting in the regions, I really want to do that more, and the people, for sure.
All right, James.
Yeah, I think we just had such a great like synergy in terms of cast, crew, even the extras we had. I don't think many of them had done screen before. A lot of them had done theater. But we had about 15, I think, and they were all amazing. Like we got there in a few takes. They just knew their stuff. And a lot of them had auditioned for the film too, meaning they kind of knew the story and really helped. They knew the tone, they knew the mood, they knew the characters. So I think that really helped. And yeah, I just worked with crew before on the other short we did a few months before that. So like it's always just practice. You're always practicing as a filmmaker, getting better and better, working with a good team. And yeah, it's all about the pre-production, like and the scheduling and everything. So on the day you're really yeah, it's really tweaking things at that point. And yeah, so I was just blessed with a great cast and crew and just real good vibes, good energy. We shot in one of my childhood homes, so I knew the space, and my parents were really forgiving, and they let us have the house for that weekend. So that was really nice of them. Um, so yeah, just a good effort all around, I think.
Okay, thank you. Julie.
Yeah, I think similar to what everyone else has said already. Yeah, I think our big goal for this shoot was to make sure that Elijah had a good time, who was our 9-year-old actor, and he had a great time by the end. So we were like, okay, that's we achieved our biggest goal. I think the performances in particular, like I still rave about Renee's performance in particular at the end of the short. I think she does like an amazing job. And the first time we showed the cut to Renee and Elijah, even just seeing Renee get emotional, I thought that was like a beautiful moment as well. Like just when your own, and our DOP had the same reaction as well. So seeing your own cast and crew who know the script so well or the story so well still be able to have an emotional reaction to it feels like you're doing something, you're making something important. And yeah.
Okay, thank you. Daniel.
Yeah, very similar to everyone. I think people's at the heart of filmmaking, because I think, you know, you all have such specific roles that without each other, you can't make the movie. So, you know, I'm really proud of Cosmo Kalman. This is his first piece used as a stepping stone into his first feature film called Aerosol, which is a beautiful exploration from own personal experience. So Opia is, I suppose, a little homage to his youth and some of the experiences that he has had where he's, you know, kind of felt that if just maybe things were a little bit different, maybe life could have been different. So I think there's that beautiful mixture of kind of personal connection and how that can movies can influence others on their social path. But I think probably the biggest thing I'm proud of with this piece is that, and it was one of our biggest challenges as well, was the sound design. We worked with local composers to create all the original score. It was a lot of time talking about the culture, the sound, not to be too hip hop, but we wanted it to have an ambient type of hip hop sound that rolled through the whole piece. And then added into that the sound design done by James Cleary, which just added such subtle beauty to the piece, because we didn't want to. We wanted the piece to speak to people in a way that was about everyone watching this experience with their own interpretation of the story. And I remember the first time we showed it to people, and at the end of it, we had conversations where everyone had interpreted their own version because of the non-verbal nature of the piece. So we knew that the sound design had fulfilled our vision, I suppose, as a team. to the making of it.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to derail this conversation, but you all said people as part of your answer to that question. I'm just interested to temporarily go down a short sort of side track of, did any of you use or consider using any AI tools as part of what you were doing? Head shaking. No.
Personally, no, not for this for our story. I think I don't know how others feel, but I think that AI is a great tool in so many different ways for many things. But when it comes to storytelling, the people for me and for this piece were important to ensure that we had them at the heart of everything that we were doing.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else want to say anything about that? I mean, as I say, I don't want to, take the whole discussion down that road. It's just a point of interest.
I would just add, I agree with Daniel. Like, I think that AI is, I don't know a lot about it, but it's a great tool to use to help with processes. I haven't yet employed it in any big way, but I do know that it's kind of a wave that's coming. So curious about it, but didn't use it for this kaupapa.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
We briefly played around with some AI tools, but very much early in pre-production when we were doing some concept work, going out and doing some photography and kind of doing some manipulation of images. So it was definitely beneficial in those stages in early pre-production, but I haven't yet figured out a way of implementing it into the final project or product.
Okay, thank you. In terms of the life of a short film, it's sort of got a number of different places it can go to. I mean, obviously, for some of you, Julie, you made yours for 48 hours. Angela's was made as part of a commissioned series for television. Where are you at on your journeys, and what do you see for the rest of the journey for this particular short film, James?
Yeah, I think New Zealand Web Fest is towards the end of its film festival journey. So the goal of it was to always try and get into festivals and really showcase our work and get the film out there. But apart from that, yeah, I mean, it's funny with shorts, like they don't really get sold to streamers as much unless it was commissioned, as you said. So I think for shorts, a lot of the time it's either like a proof of concept or its own short story, or it's like a part of a bigger project that you're trying to push. So at least for this one, it's it's been in festivals, and then we'll probably put it on Vimeo. That's usually our process. And yeah, if it was commissioned or something, like it might have been streaming or 48 hours. Yeah, like it would have been live on YouTube a few months ago. But I think for this one, we always had the goal of having like a year-long cycle with this film. So by the time it was edited to submit it to festivals, and then by the first festival, probably a year after that, it would come out online. So that's our process.
Okay, Angela?
Yeah, I think so it's an interesting question because usually I produce, and so I think about this a lot for other people's short films. But this is unique and it's really my first directing gig. Webfest is the first festival we pretty much submitted to. So this is kind of the start of it, I guess. For me, it was less about where Ahi and the Stars would go and more about where the people in Ahi and the Stars will go. So it was kind of a stepping stone, I guess, for me as a director. And I'm currently directing my first long form for Whakaata Māori. So we shoot that in November, December. So yeah, I think it's achieved what it was meant to achieve, but I would love to see it travel so I can go on a holiday overseas.
Very nice. Good plan, I think, that one. Daniel?
We're very similar with others as well. You know, for us, it was about building a community of filmmakers here in Hawke's Bay. And we've been talking about Hawke's Bay now for some time as a region which is like many others throughout New Zealand, a little untapped and unseen. So it was a great opportunity for us to continue to build not only our people, but projects, and look at it as a way to take that out to the world. And so what it has done is it's launched confidence in our community about how to work, we've shown them a way that they can do it, and that all they have to do is start. And so we've also got 31 Under in New Zealand Webfest at the moment. And we have another 3 or 4 other projects which we've accomplished last year. And this particular piece, Opia for Cosmo, is a launch pad for going into doing his feature based off the same mahi. So it's sort of about trying to show the concepts that he sees and thinks and feels. And so that'll be our sort of next journey of taking shorts and web series into longer feature forms. But Opia has been entered into probably about 60 festivals around the world. And we've received a lot of amazing feedback and a lot of amazing support. So our hope is to create a portfolio of work which can then start to look at New Zealand as one place rather than regions, so that we can actually start to all work together and build work which is meaningful. Because I think that as filmmakers, we're stronger together than we are apart. And, you know, we've all got resources, we've all got ideas. And for me, the more that we can work together, the better it's going to be for us as a community of filmmakers moving forward. So for us, Opia is about that. It's about building towards bigger and better things for everybody.
Okay, thank you. Hayden.
Yes, so I started the Weta project with the intention of it being a feature film. And we had prepared a lot of documentation, pitch bibles, and reference images, and we thought that it would be wise to go out there and create a conceptual short film with a lot of elements and kind of narrative ideas that we wanted to explore and test out, especially as well with a lot of visual effects and special effects. So we thought making the short film was going to be a great way to put together a team and see what we can do on a smaller budget, and then use that as an asset essentially, and get it out there through film festivals, showing it to production companies, and with the hope and the intention of making it into a full-length feature film. So it's a long journey ahead, and I feel like we're standing at the start of this big mountain, but looking forward to the journey ahead.
Okay, thank you. Julie.
Yeah, our short is already online on YouTube to view, and it's just a short film anyway. But I have thought about the question of submitting, films that just appear in festivals versus things that are free to air. Because I do lots of documentary work and things that are funded by New Zealand On Air, which have to be free to air. And often, I don't know, I kind of like the accessibility of that it can just reach lots of audiences, whereas things that are in festivals feel like it's a very small niche audience, or it goes somewhere overseas, but they might not have the local connection that the story might have. And it can be like years before your actual community gets to see that work. So I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about going through festivals versus having things just be accessible freely online. Yeah, and festivals can be so hard to get into as well. I had a short film that was, or it's still kind of out in some festivals, but it was really hard to get into festivals. And yeah, again, that kind of yeah, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. I feel like it's just such a smaller audience that you can get sometimes through festivals.
Yeah, and it's a costly exercise. You know, if you have a real, you know, wish to try and get it into as many festivals as possible, it can be frightening. So, I mean, from a personal point of view, thank you all very much for submitting your work to us. But in general, if you want to kind of go further afield, I think it's worth having a clearly defined festival strategy. We certainly see stuff submitted to us that you think, not particularly from New Zealanders, but from internationally, and you think this, nobody is going to get that here. It just, you know, it is so far from, you know, what New Zealanders sort of see of the world and understand of the world. And I'm not suggesting that we're in any way kind of, you know, behind the times or out of touch, or but you know, but sometimes the cultural differences between one place and another don't translate very well in the course of a piece of short form content. It's certainly worth something that's worth a lot of thought, and I don't think it's something that there's necessarily one answer to either. But it's yeah, challenging issue, and you know, and you don't want to get it particularly wrong, given that it, you know, it costs money every time you try and get it into a festival somewhere else. It's well, somewhere here or somewhere else. So but on that subject of somewhere else's, this conversation will remain online on our Facebook page. So if people have looked at it after the festival, and they are kind of interested in your short film, and they visit a link that is by that time dead because the festival has closed, is there somewhere else where they're going to be able to see either this piece of work or some of your other work? James.
Yeah, so we have our Vimeo channel. That's usually where we upload things. I think that's probably it for this one, at least. There might be some other online festivals, but as I was saying, like this is kind of the end of the circuit for our film for this project. So, but yeah, we'll definitely put out a link to the Vimeo, it on Vimeo. Vimeo is great for short films, and they do lots of curations of, yeah, similar stories. And they have a really good team who go through and give out like staff picks, and they're just really supportive. So that's why we like using Vimeo for our projects.
Okay, thank you. Angela.
Yeah, Ahi and the Stars is available on TVNZ Plus. So yeah, it's part of the Motherhood anthology series. If you just type that in, or Ahi and the Stars, it should pop up. Go flood it. We like it's good when people see you viewing it after the Webfest. But yeah, and then you can catch other stuff on any of our social platforms. So my company's called Caravan Car Park Films. And yeah, if you Google that and have a nosy. Yeah.
All right. Hayden?
Yes, so we're still submitting the Weta off to other film festivals, so still very much in the circuit. But we will look at doing a public release, most likely on Vimeo and or YouTube. If people want to follow along and see what, you know, our journey, best place to reach us is on our Instagram. Just search the Weta Film, and you'll be able to see all our stuff on there, and just keep in touch and see what the latest is on there.
Okay, thank you. Julie?
Yeah, so our short film Monster State, it's available to watch on the 48 Hours YouTube channel. Yeah, and that should stay there for a while. Or I think the 48 Hours website also has like its own screening room. So that's a slightly different link, and that's got some comments from other people who participated in 48 Hours, which was nice to be part of that community this year. And then, yeah, I have other work that's more in documentary that is free to view. I have a series called Takeout Kids, which is available to watch on the spin-off, or a podcast doco series called Conversations with My Immigrant Parents, which is on RNZ.
Brilliant. All right. Because you're not going to shout yourself out, I will do it for you because you won twice at 48 hours, and I think that's that's no mean achievement. So you kind of picked up the Dane Galen Preston Award and also the Best Director Award. So well done for both of those.
Thank you.
Daniel.
Yes, we're still in the middle of our festival circuit, so we're hoping that coming into about March-ish of next year, that we'll be releasing the piece online. But people can see our work on our website, which is dreambig.co.nz. And we're currently shooting a feature film here in Hawke's Bay, and planning on a web series and a few other short features coming into the beginning of next year. So we have a fair few things going on at the moment. And we're also working with a number of other producers around the country at present, just on various projects, trying to assist where we can to bridge the gap with making work.
All right. Well, best of luck with all of those future projects. Thank you very much for all of you for talking with us today, and good luck for when the awards roll around. If you're watching this belatedly, you'll be able to find the results of those on our website, nzwebfest.co.nz. And if you're watching it before we get to Sunday the 10th of November, you can watch all of these films and check them out and sort of take bets on who you think will come out the winner at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you for organising this and the whole festival.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Keith.